Yeah, what's up, creepers? Hey, geekers, Chris the Atari Creep. How's everyone doing today? Yeah. Violation Entertainment in the house, all fucking ready. What's going on, buddy? I don't know how long I'm going to be on for today. Holy hell, do I not feel good. But I made a fucking commitment. And at least I can say I came on and I gave it a try, but I probably won't be on for too much longer, buddy. I apologize. I pulled out an old delay pedal I have. I got for Christmas or my birthday years ago. It's a cheap one from Amazon. I don't think it was $25-30. It's called the Echos. ECHOOOS. By Mingy or Mangy or whatever the fuck. I don't know who the fuck made the damn thing. But all I know is it works today. Tomorrow it won't power on. And a lot of that, I don't know, maybe because it's a cheap pedal, but I also believe it's probably because I never use it. I'm not really an effects kind of guy. I like just going directly into the motherfucking amp. I like just going direct in. And letting this thing and these noodly things that your mom loves do its thing, you know. But every now and again, a little bit of delay to add that little bit of soul to it. I don't really have many pedals. I have the delay pedal. Oh, excuse me. I have a fuzz pedal I made out of a Dollar Tree coffin box. I have my haunted house drive that a friend of mine built for me custom. I mean, the whole thing is, you're never going to have another one. I promise you that. But I don't have my tube amp anymore. I ended up selling it. So there's no point in putting one of these in front of this because it does everything I need it to do. But this is one of my favorite drive pedals. I'm supposed to be building two more. One out of a 2600 what do you call it? 2600 joystick, but that's for my other channel. I actually thought about just soldering the parts together for this because I'm not going to do it on camera there. I just didn't get anything set up to do it. Yeah, boy, a little, Damien, what's going on, buddy? Thanks for popping in. Again, I don't know why they're doing this. If it's a setting I need to change, hold on. Reactions, am I allowed to have that? I don't know. I'll put it back. I'll put it back. But I'm not getting your actual screen names. I'm getting your account names. So fucking weird. Maybe I hacked into your shit. Instead of it saying, just whatever, it says at and whatever you wrote, I guess the original effect was cranking it to 11. Yeah, and dish out some punishment. You know what a lot of cats did? You're sounding a little rough, man. Thank you. Yeah, my throat was fucking scratchy. And it's like I don't have a fever, but I feel like I'm on that cusp of it. But according to the thing I stick in my mouth hole, not even close. I'm like right there where I'm supposed to be. So I don't know. I talked to my buddy Mike of Earmo Custom Models shortly before coming on, and he says him and his wife have been sick too. But he's in Canada. He's like 5 hours north of me, maybe even 6 hours north of me. But it doesn't mean it can't just fucking creep down. It's not spraying. I don't know. Maybe it's a new fucking plague. God willing. I will quote Vincent Price reading words from Alice Cooper on the hit album Welcome to My Nightmare. Wait, was Black Widow on Welcome to My Nightmare? God, I can't even think, guys. I'm sorry. I might cut out sooner. I I feel that mankind has ruled this world like a stumbling, demented child king long enough. Carrie Fisher's birthday is today. Where is your lightsaber for Lightsaber Day? I didn't know today was Lightsaber Day. It's still in my pants where it belongs, you know? Well, if it's Lightsaber Day, then I'm going to have to ticker talk about that later on my Amelia McCobb account. Fucking Carrie Fisher's birthday. All right. Why'd they put Lightsaber Day on her birthday? Here's an interesting question for the chat. Carrie Fisher wasn't a Jedi. She may have had the Force, and maybe in EU and all the books and everything, maybe she went out there and slaughtered some baddies with the lightsaber, but aside from the new trilogy, the sequels, there really wasn't ever talk of her having one, and I'm an OG trilogy guy, unfortunately. Well, fortunately. And I do like some of the Clone Wars stuff, and I do like the prequels as a guilty pleasure. I don't think they're great movies, but you know what? I had a lot of really good times around then. And I was thinking about The Force Awakens and its subsequent movies afterwards. And I remember, and the reason I was thinking about it is because, ironically, I have this here. It was a prize I won. A toy collector on Facebook does a lot of live streams. And, you go, I want that. And he's like, $50, and you bid, and all that crap. Well, they had this little rubber alien toy, and they didn't know where it came from. And I figured it out. So he sent me this as a prize. Obviously it took a few weeks to get to me, but... And I'm thinking to myself, the holiday season doesn't seem the same without Star Wars hype. Like at one moment, I'm like, you know what? I don't want any more of this shit. But then I look back very fucking fondly on it. And that's not the way it is with the prequels. I look at the prequel era as a very fond time in my life. That was such a great time. I had a really rad routine. I worked overnights in Rhode Island. I would drive back to Boston, pick up my buddy, and we would go get something at Taco Bell, and we'd go see whatever new flick. We saw so many flicks around that time. Opening day with, no problem. Private Parts, Beavis and Butthead Do America, the Star Wars prequels. The re-releases in theater. The original special editions. But yeah, Carrie Fisher, cool. Rest in peace. Happy birthday. I would have liked to know how you tasted. That's vulgar. I'm sorry. I'm not feeling well today, guys. My brain is not working. I guess the original effect was, you know what a lot of cats would do? They would cut their cones. They would cut the speaker cones so it would vibrate in a weird way, and that flappiness would give it a little bit of that distorted tone that everyone was looking for. So if they weren't getting it with... Because back then everyone used this head called the Plexi, and it had 4 inputs, and you could put you could bridge a couple of them to get a different sound, or you could do all kinds of really cool stuff. And it's actually an amp I've always dreamed to own. Kill 'Em All was recorded on a Plexi. Modified, of course. Eddie Van Halen, fucking Plexi, guys. The early albums was a Plexi-based head. And when Plexi, it surrounded his Plexi head. Whatever he did with it, afterwards, that would be the one I would get. But I think brand new, if they're even still making them, they start at like $3,000. But when they realized that you could connect it the right way, and then just you got that really rad fucking just breakup sound, that real nasty. But people were also getting it with twin reverbs, too, Twin reverb is a great fucking amp. In fact, I think that would be my next tube amp, if I ever get my shit together and find work finally, I'll probably buy a twin reverb. I had one, sorta. And I didn't like it because it wasn't a heavy metal amp. So I brought it to the high school and left it in the music room, thinking I could just go in there and jam anytime I wanted. But then the music director kept bugging me to play in the jazz band. And at the time, I'm like, jazz? What are you talking about? There ain't no jazz. It's all Slayer and Metallica and Anthrax and Exodus and Malaya Rage and Sacred Reich and metal up your ass, stupid music teacher. But alas, that amp stayed in there, and I have no idea what ended up happening to it. I just never took it home because I didn't respect it. And now you can buy a car with that amp. I think it was my dad's original one. It was either my dad's or somebody that he worked with or someone from the church. I just know my dad is the one who introduced it to me. And I disrespected it. Those aren't cheap either. In fact, I'm going to go on Reverb right now. Not Reverb. I'm going to go on Zounds and see if Fender even makes a twin reverb. A couple of streams ago, somebody had said, or it asked, do you talk amps? I normally don't, because amps are the last thing I ever fucking care about. All right, Fender Master Tone Twin Reverb is $1,500. What is the Master Tone? I just want a fucking twin reverb. Fender Tone Master Twin Reverb Guitar Amplifier. Maybe that's its proper name. Ooh, that one's nice. That one's like in a cream color versus the gray that they normally have. I like that better. But yeah, I think twin reverb is where I'm going to go next. I know you can't see it. I don't intend for you to. But the Metal Creep. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Don't forget to turn your lightsabers before you take a seat on the sofa. Yeah, dude. Do you guys want me to get my lightsabers out and parade them here? I want to see at least 2 yeses. I don't know if there's 3 people in here. I don't know if there's 3 fucking people in here. There's 7. And one of them is my alt account. I do have the controller here. We could jump into a couple of Atari games if we really have to, but I still feel like total shit. And honestly, it's more about keeping to this, It's what I would do for work. Unless I was like really sick or something I could spread around. I'd go in like this. Oh God. I don't know. Howard says howdy creep and metal creep. You know what I was watching? I think I played this. Yesterday. Let me start that over. I can't even. Can you guys hear that? What is that? Do you guys know what that is? I should really be doing it like this. And I don't have what they call a harmonizer or pitch shifter or whatever the fuck it's called, where when you pluck one note, it plays the note, but also adds a layer of a harmony, whether it be, sharp or flat. And they use that for the second round of it. And that's where they would hit it right there. And it would sound like he went into a higher pitch, but I don't know. Atari 2600 is the schnitz. Absolutely. I love the 2600. There's a guy on the local Facebook all free market, whatever the fuck, just from my town. And I just recently picked up a VHS from him. I don't collect VHS, but I like Frankenstein's Monster. And it was a copy of Frankenpoo. Winnie the Pooh Frankenstein. It's bright orange. It is the most ridiculous thing. I don't even like Winnie the Pooh. My now ex-wife in high school used to call me Pooh Bear. And they also call me Fuzzy Wuzzy. But the Schnitz, the Schnizzits, the Schnoogans, the Dukins, and the Yeah, absolutely. It's all of those brown, corny substances of discharge. How about that? Of discharge. I lost my medal. I'm finding out my amp needs to be recapped, and I'm not brave enough to do that because of the power of the capacitors. I don't have anything to discharge them with. That's not code for someone sending me one, Alex, by the way. I don't want that responsibility. That one comes with, that power comes with great responsibility. But I do get drops of volume and drops in pretty much every level. So at the very least, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open it up probably today or tomorrow, pull out the chassis, and I'm going to blow it out with air, and I'm going to fucking drown everything in deoxit. Just drown it. Just sit in the sink and be like, maybe douche a whole fucking can on it. After, of course, doing the pots individually. I know for a fact that my volume on the clean side definitely needs it, because like you could barely touch it, and it goes fucking to 10. It just gets really loud. And that just means there's like dust and shit inside of it making connections. Inside of anything that has like a volume, for the most part, what you have inside there is a donut of metal. And then you have something touching that. And in a lot of cases, it either gets wider or shorter. And that determines how much current is going through that pot, telling whatever it is you're using, your radio, your girlfriend's mom, whatever, to either be quieter or louder. And it's just basically a flow. Same thing with motors. The more juice you put into a fucking motor, the faster it's going to go. You ever watch those videos of Elmo hooked up to the battery boxes, the plug-in, power supplies, I should say, that you can connect to things, and they fucking crank it, and the thing just goes nuts and goes on fire and flips out? That's metal, but that's the same idea. And over time, shit gets caught in there, and it can bridge things. Same with your game consoles, So I would suggest opening things up and blowing them out once in a while. Fuck yeah. But I got to do that to this. I sold my tube amp a couple of weeks ago to have a few bucks around. I got some food. I got some for me. And a couple of little things here and there. I think I paid for something for our family when we were out because I could. Finally. I could finally be the man of the house. But I sold the wrong one, Jack. And this one's fucking slowly dying on me. But I will keep it to the end, man. These PV Bandit teal stripes, I couldn't have enough of them. I would actually like to have a collection of Bandits all the way back to when they first started making them. All the way to whatever shitty version they have today. There was just something about the Bandit 65 and this thing, this teal stripe Bandit 112, that just holds so much fucking magic inside their circuit board, non-tube, digital format. It's it's not tube. And it still performs. Fuck. I wish Dimebag used one of these. I always wanted to turn this one into a head and put it through a cabinet. I did that once. I had this little PV trans tube head, which I wish I had. That thing really emulated that tube sensitivity and breakup. When you're just plucking lightly, right? It's cleaner. But then if you hit that same note and really go like that, the tubes light up. And they're like, oh my God! And it gets fucking crazy. And that's why everyone likes tube amps, because when the signal goes through that light, it's literally going through light. I mean, it's physical connection, but the tube is what does what it's supposed to do. I mean, don't get me wrong. All the capacitors and the doodads and the endalz and the boohoosies and whatever the fuck do their job. But when it gets to the tube is where the expression part of it, for me anyway, comes from. Because you manipulate the tube and not the amp itself. And the tube tells the amp how rad that you need to sound, But for an amp that's all digital, It sounds fucking fantastic, and it's a tried and true machine. They're just getting old. All right, back to this. Andy LaRocque. I love Andy LaRocque. He's got a new ESP out, and I don't know if I like it or not. I wanted him to go back with BC Rich. If you look back, I'll read the comment in a minute. I get distracted by his sexy name. He used to use a lot of BC Rich stuff, which sounds really good with his. I mean, it's perfect for what, you know. And he did the gunslingers more times than not. I mean, there was a couple times you'd see him with a Warlock. But I think those were mostly promotional ones because it would have like pictures of Alice Cooper, King Diamond on it and shit. But there was this one BC Rich gunslinger that had the cover to Abigail, you know, the stagecoach going up and all that. That's what I think of when I think of Andy LaRocque guitars. But he's got this nice purple burst from ESP, and he actually chose to use the ESP kind of 3x3 teardrop, cum drop, whatever it is. That weirdo fucking headstock that kind of curved, but it was like bubbly and had tuners on both sides. Trying to describe it for non-guitar people, for you guitar people freaking the fuck out right now. I like his guitar. His guitar is nice. Maybe that's what we should do. We should go to the Zounds and look at guitars. You want to look at guitars? You want to look at my local market? Maybe we should do that. Let's do that. Andy LaRocque seems to use a lot of warbles in his solos. Yeah. And he uses like really big ones. Like he's always with the, you know, but he uses it as like a, not just like a quick accent. And then he'll do his I can't sweep. He'll be like, never understood how you could do that. I could just never. These two fucking dick beaters could not ever do that. they just. I mean, I could do a lot of this, you know, but a lot of it's just hammers and pull-offs. I plucked a string once, you know, and it just sounds a lot more fucking convincingly cool than it really actually is. Don't ever misconstrue my playing for good playing. It may sound good in the moment, but once I get into a mix, I found out I was really down the other day. Like real down. Of course, I wanted to play some fucking deep blues. So I put on some backing tracks, and maybe it was because of my mood. I just could not, I kept hitting the root notes at the right time when they would change, you know? When they would change key. Simple 12, you know? I just couldn't fucking make it happen. I was never really good at jamming. with other people when it came to leads. But Andy LaRocque, man. Okay, hold on. I'm going to play an Andy riff. I only really know 3. 18 is 9! Something like that. No. There it is. It's there. That, and I know... something like that, right? The Family Ghost. What a fucking great song. And then Welcome Home, which is literally the same fucking riff, just up here and picked simply. And I'll play them both for you. Hold on. So it's... oh, no. So that one, it's a bar chord. And then back here, right, we'll play that. Now we'll play Family Ghost. Back to there. Same fucking riff, just slightly tweaked. And that's the beauty of a fucking musician, a really good musician. And as much as I pick on Kerry King, Slayer did that to the fucking max. Let's do this. Fuck you. You're getting guitar lessons today. Right here is what I call the metal box. Almost every fucking song metal you've heard is there. Black Sabbath. You know? All of that. But Slayer liked using it. Loved using it. And I like fucking up their riffs. Right, you got that. Then you have... I forgot how to play that. But it's literally the same exact notes. Just kind of, you know. That's the closest I've played that riff right. It's so long. Dead Skin Mask. Black Magic. You notice my hand hasn't fucking moved yet? They love this little box here. It's so evil. And it's just E. It's just E. It's just E. So a musician, either limited or extremely good, will find that one little spot that they're super comfortable with, and then he will stick to that area and do magic with it. I mean, of course, they'll play around everywhere else. I mean, there's a whole fucking playground here. You know what I mean? But, let's see. I once plugged a toy racetrack into the outlet, 88 miles per hour. I learned the lesson. That's awesome. Those are the lessons. As long as no one got hurt and nothing truly got broken, you know, nothing of consequence anyway. That's awesome. I would do shit like that all the time. My dad was always forever like, what are you doing with that screwdriver? In fact, I have those screwdrivers in the other room. I have some of the cooking utensils my parents had when I was a little kid. I had my mom's little fucking cast iron skillet. I love that shit. But my dad would be like, what are you doing with that screwdriver? I'd be like, I don't know. He's like, you're not fucking taking apart that new thing we just bought you, are you? I'd be like, yeah, I probably will. Sorry. I remember the first time I tried playing around with this Floyd Rose on this not this actual model, I mean, physical guitar, but same model, same make, everything. The only thing that's different between this one and the one I had as a kid is that one doesn't exist anymore, to my knowledge. And I didn't quite understand. I mean, you gotta remember, I'm just now learning to play guitar. Never mind, I took that thing apart and I could not fucking figure it out to save my life. And we brought it to Daddy's to get repaired. And my dad saw the price that it was going to cost, and he was just like, don't stop with the fucking screwdrivers, please. I thought it would take me somewhere. I guess it never did. I worked for one guitar factory and one guitar factory alone. Of which I did have a couple of really interesting builds. And I say builds. I did the final assembly inspection and cleanup on pretty much any fly that went through there. I built a lot of night fly pickguards, but I also did... because the skills I had, they wouldn't pay me for it. It's kind of fucked up. If you go to my other channel, I have 2 big videos about Parker guitars. Ken Parker himself passed away the 5th of this month, so I did a little tribute to him because I was influenced by him. I mean, listening to this man talk creatively, it was better than any blowjob I have ever gotten, and I will say that to my heart. I will say that to my heart. Listening to this man talk about creativity and design and ideas was amazing. Did I get along with the man? No, not at all. I thought he was a fucking douchebag. And he was a nightmare to work for. But he didn't mind letting you sit in listening to brainstorms and stuff like that. As long as you know, if he was like in the area. I couldn't just leave my station and go into his office and be like, so what are we doing today, Ken? I really thought that's what I'd be doing for a living. Working for some guitar company somewhere, being a legacy builder. I mean, I do want to make my own, but it's like, no, that's too much of a hassle. I don't want to. I want to build stuff that I want to play. And if other people want it, then I'll find a way to make it happen. But that would be all pre-order stuff. Because I've gotten burnt in the past with people saying, yeah, make that. I want one of those. And then I'm stuck with a fucking drawer full of whatever that fucking thing is. I'm so pissed off. This last time were the Necronomicons. I have these little Necronomicons, if you don't remember. And I had one that was orange because whenever I'm pouring resin, there's always a little left over, so I'll keep a mold around. I'll just pour it in there. And some of them have orange, black, purple, green, fuchsia in them, because it was just a couple of little drops from whatever. And I started using that to its advantage and making themed ones. You know what? Let me get them for you here in a minute. And one person who I do know personally from Arizona, and I'm not picking on them, I get that initial, oh my God. But I was showing people before I started working on them, I have all this, so I'm thinking about doing this with it. And they came on and said, oh my God, I want that orange one, and I want it set up like this. It wasn't, I wish I could see that, or I would like to. It says, I want. So I did it. And for better or for worse, it opened up creativity. It opened up a whole new fucking creative path that I went on for like 2 or 3 fucking weeks, maybe even longer. And it was an amazing creative session that entire time. And now they just sit in this fucking bin, including the one that the person said they wanted. I made it literally how they described it. And it was like fucking crickets, ghosts, And I find that happens with pretty much everything. And everyone keeps telling me, do the pre-order thing. But, people are sketchy about pre-order things. So it's like I won't get anyone then either. I don't know. There's just some things about what I do you can't really, I guess you could pre-order it. But if I pre-ordered 20 of them, I'm committed to 20 of them. And the way my creative mind works is if by fucking 18, I'm just done with that. Well, guess what? 19 and 20 aren't getting shit. They'll get their money back. I have no problem there. I wouldn't just fucking leave them hanging in the fucking weeds. But creatively, my brain says, no more with this. Stop. I do. I listen to it and I fucking move on. And it's not necessarily an ethic thing and not a laziness thing. It's a creative laziness, I guess. Not even laziness. It's just a stubbornness, a creative stubbornness. And I'm not going to work on something if I'm not inspired to. Unless, of course, it's something that's part of a job or something, like the Parker Fly. But I was responsible for the final care of 3 guitars for Jimmy Page. Yes, that Jimmy Page. I never got to meet these people, so it's not like I was in like the circle. I just happened to be the guy at the end of the line, but they also knew I had the skills and the give a fuck about it. And that's the thing that pissed me off about them. They knew I had the heart. They knew I had the ability and the skills, but they chose not to use that and just treat me like any other junkie musician who would have walked in there thinking it was a fun guitar job. I went in there to work and have a career. And it doesn't matter, they don't even exist anymore now. They moved to Maryland, and then they sold it to some company that made a bunch of foreign shit that was crap. I should say import. And now Parker Guitars is, I don't know, it's a name. It's a name still. I'm sure someone owns it, but maybe I should buy it. And bring it back. Go up to Wilmington. Go back into that building and be like, whatever you're making in here, I don't care. We're saving lives. Everyone get the fuck out. We're building guitars in here again. And then I'll be like, no, there was a hole in that wall. There was a hole in that wall from Larry Fishman. Larry Fishman. He owned it, actually. He fronted the money for it from Fishman Electronics, transducers and all that. The Fishman Fluence pickups. My paycheck was signed by him. Not literally. It was just, you know what I mean. It was like a printer's signature. But I worked there. I worked there for about a couple of years, and then it went sour. I proved myself. One day there was a guitar that came in. There you go. Here's some guitar stories. And I'll get to the chat here in a minute. I see Howard. Okay, I'll just do it now. Comparison for a bit. Yep. Those look like great guitars. Some of them on the Voodoo tour. Yeah. Can't remember the venue name. Spill the Blood, excellent riff. I love playing it. You know why? Because it fucks with your fingers. It doesn't go where your fingers want to go. Well, however you're trained musically and how your fingers are trained to follow that, I guess you would call it theory, doesn't exist in Slayer riffs. It's fucking amazing. I mean, I don't know. Slayer's kind of a punchline now, aren't they? And it sucks because they were in the early days so metal. I remember the first time I heard Hell Awaits, the album, and I was terrified to listen to it. Because I was brought up in a Christian household with a minister daddy, but it all worked out fine. But one day, a guitar came into the shop where the face of it, right here, right, you can't see it, right here was just, blow, just blasted out like someone punched it from behind. And what happened was, is inside the Parker Fly and Night Fly tremolo units, instead of using springs, yeah, you can see mine. Instead of using springs to keep the bridge floating, how these bridges work is they're literally floating. They're touching these two posts here, and the strings are holding it against those posts. And then you have counterbalance springs here, keeping it from doing this and this. And then you just adjust tensions up and down and all over the place. And then you finally just get it nice and level, and you can do the warbly-burbly stuff with your fucking wiggle stick, as they call over a 60-cycle hum. Well, they used a tempered spring metal thing. It was literally a sheet of metal that was bent like this and then hooked like that. So you could put like one end in something like this. It was kind of like a situation like that on either side. And then you would tighten up, the spring itself. And the guitar came with 9s, and the spring that was in it literally had a 9 on it. And I believe it came with a 10-gauge spring as an extra, in case you wanted to upgrade to 10 gauge, which I will say, yes, that's an upgrade. But what happened was somebody did something the wrong way. Oh, they put the spring in upside down. And it wasn't quite caught like this, and when they went to use it live, it fucking blew right out the front, cut the guy in the arm and everything. I mean, it was just such tremendous force. But they treated it like a warranty job, and took every little piece that they had from the face of it, and thank God it was like one big blowout and a couple of little pieces, and they wanted to reconstruct the fucking thing. And the guy that was their head luthier, like he had this like little shop in the corner. It was like a closet that they turned into a shop, and he would do the really big repairs, mostly on stuff that hasn't gone out yet to make it go out. Don't you ever think there's not a guitar factory out there that sends guitars out perfectly. They know some of them are fucked up, and I guarantee you, I don't care if it's Paul Reed Smith, Gibson, Fender, your mom's ass, if they make guitars, the employees are complaining about quality. It will always happen. It will always happen, and it will always happen when they change a procedure, or they change the product in which they're using to do that. And it's always about cutting costs, right? But that guy wasn't there, and they had no one to fix this poor guy's guitar. And if I remember correctly, he was somebody of note. So I leaned over and said, "Look, Ken, I don't have much to do today. I can do that." And they all kind of just, because their option was just give the guy a new guitar. They didn't want to do that. So I did. I fixed it over the course of a week and a half. I laid the thing back in perfectly. I played with the finish where I needed to play with it. I filled the things that I needed to, and and I made the fucking thing look awesome. I even replicated some of his guitar had marks and scratches and stuff from using it. So I just, it was fucking wonderful. I didn't even get so much of I did get a thanks for handing them the guitar. I'm like, here you go, bud. It's like, thanks. And then they brought it out and says, we were able to do this. And I'm standing right fucking there. Cocksuckers. But I was in charge of 3 guitars for Jimmy Page. One for Bonnie Raitt, believe it or not. They were trying to get her on board. So we built, I believe at the time she was doing like a blue Strat with a white pickguard kind of a situation. Or maybe I'm way off on that one. But they made basically a night fly that looked like her Strat, and they were trying to throw that over at her. And as much as I would love a night fly, an HSS setup night fly, I don't know. I wouldn't trade my Strat for that if I was a recording artist. I would definitely take it and use it, absolutely. And sure, make it a signature guitar if I liked it that much, but it wouldn't replace shit. And don't you ever think that if your favorite musician goes with a brand that they're not recording with other shit? They're recording with stuff they don't even own a lot of times. I can't tell you how many times you'd be in the studio and the studio guy would be like, you know what, I get the perfect thing for this. And he'd pull out this weird amp from God knows where that had just this one jangly fucking thing on it, you know? Creativity is magic, guys. But there was also a dude named Reeves who I actually almost got to meet. And if I remember correctly, he played with David Bowie. And he was actually a signature artist of ours. Was there a guitar player named Reeves who played with David Bowie? And I built a number of guitars. Yes, okay, his name was Reeves Garbles or Grables or Goobles. I don't know. Weird looking dude. But nice from my understanding. But I made like a number of night flies for him. And I would have loved to have fucking put the ones for Jimmy Page on my resume, or I should say portfolio, had I ever had one. And maybe that's it. I just don't know how to do the professional thing to sell myself. I don't know. I think that's why my art doesn't do anything. I don't know how to sell myself, and I don't care. I don't want to be that guy. I just want someone to look at something I fucking make and be delighted with it. And if they give me money for it, fine. I just want to make things that delight people and be able to eat as a result. I don't see that being too much of a fucking stretch, but the ones that we made for Jimmy Page, oh my God. He brought out some fucking choice wood. I'm talking about Paul Reed Smith jealous choice wood. And that was a running joke at the shop because Paul Reed Smith had this knack of finding the lumber faster than Ken and Gibson and all them, the nice pieces. And we would constantly be like, Paul Reed Smith will be pissed that you own this, Ken, or, whatever. Go borrow some from Paul. And that used to piss him off so badly. But they were gorgeous. And it is also my understanding that Jimmy Page did come into the shop after hours to receive the guitars, to hang out with, of course, Ken Parker and Larry Fishman and some of the shop stewards, the guys who were a little... I'll get to the chat here in a minute, guys. I'm sorry. The shop stewards and stuff. And we had this one guitar, and it was a blue Parker Fly. Just a regular Fly. Classic Fly. Bam! Done. And it was in the shop, and we called it the Pig. You could loan it out. You could loan it out for like a weekend. Or if you're recording, or if you just wanted to take it out to see if you liked the fucking thing. You could sign it out for a night or two. Or a weekend. And I guess he was in there noodling with it, right? And he liked it. He liked how it felt and played. So they let him have it. So I guess the point of that story is Jimmy Page, at one time, whether he still does or not, it's my understanding he keeps every guitar he owns. And I heard rumors that there's a picture of him with it somewhere. But he owns a guitar I've recorded with. So, pretty cool stuff. All right, let's see. Let's get to the chat here. Richie Skulls, what's up, buddy? We got Phantom Fiction in the house. I'm sick as well. Sick and tired of being sick and tired. Well, stop shooting that heroin up your dick hole. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. He's not that kind of guy. He shoves it up his ass. No, I'm just kidding. I'm getting delirious. I need to go back to bed. Oh, that reminds me of... what? Pangris? I don't know what the fuck that is. I'm sorry, buddy. Hit the likes, folks. The hype and all that stuff. Thanks, Richie. I appreciate it. Richie's like my personal fucking cheerleader. Good dude. Really good dude. Hope everyone is having an awesome day. Was there a question in any of that somewhere that I kind of just veered off and started talking about Ken Parker? But yeah, I started working there, and the guy who ended up working like as my initial supervisor, immediate supervisor, he was a really nice guy. He was more of a carpenter, a cabinet maker kind of cat, you know. And he wasn't. He relied on me and two other guys for the guitar information. And he says no. Fine, stick it up your dick. I don't care. He was a really nice guy, and the reason I left there, the reason I didn't stay there until they moved to Maryland, is because at the time my to-be wife was pregnant, right? And my first daughter was going to be born. And I'm playing clubs, you know, we're doing the band thing, and we're still, you know, but I was making just shy above minimum wage, and it was treated like that. Pocket Guitars was treated like, you know, a lot of manufacturing companies. And you just had another person sitting down, and there's 12 of you behind that door waiting to sit down where you're sitting. And it had that specialty of being a guitar manufacturer, rock and roll. And Boston has a lot of musicians. So they sit there and they think, I'm going to work in music and I'll become a music star. Or it's just cool to work in a guitar factory. And then cats would show up and see that they actually had to do something. You know what I mean? And they would leave. It was a rotating doors of what I used to call pot-smoking musicians who thought it was going to be a gravy train for some reason. And I had proven myself. I had fucking proven myself more than enough that I wasn't just a guy who wanted to come here because it's cool to make guitars. I wanted this to be my life. I put everything of mine into that fucking one job. And I walked up to my supervisor and said, you know, I haven't caused any problems. I'm here every day, even when I'm ill. I keep my head down. I work. You guys ask me to do projects. I do them all the time. I keep the spirit in this department up. And you come to me sometimes for answers. Is there any way I could squeeze a buck or two more an hour? I'm about to have a baby. I mean, my son was already born, but that was a high school gig. My first son was born when I was a senior in high school. God damn, did she have a nice ass. But he said, you know what, let me go see what they say. Let me see what they say. Just, you know, get back to work and do your thing. And I'll try to get back to you before lunch. And he did. He came back to me. And I said, all right, what's going on, man? He says, look, they're not going to give you any more money. I said, oh, okay, well, that sucks. Because I did tell him I would have to probably move on. I would start looking, and then I would give him my proper notice. And I told him I'd do everything right, you know, in case something changed. And he brought that up, too, in our conversation. But he came back and said, no, they actually asked me just to let you go. Just finish out till lunch and then get the fuck out of here. And I was supposed to tell you just not to come back for lunch. And I'm like, why? They're like, that's just kind of how they are. They'll take advantage of how much you work and all that. I didn't even say this in any of my other videos. They'll take advantage of what you can do and what you can't do. They have their little group of people that they like, and that's it. So if you're going to really be looking for more money or you're going to be leaving, they just want you to go now. They don't want to go through that hassle of knowing when and all this crap. Which, you know what, normally I would understand, but no, not in a situation like this. So I said, so am I fucking leaving or what? Because I'm not waiting till lunch if they kick me out. I'm not fucking doing that. I'm grabbing a guitar and I'm out the door if they expect me to stay to lunch and then leave. And he says, no, actually what I did was I asked them if they would at the very least, give you the courtesy of a 2-week notice. But it has to start today. And I'm like, you're serious? All because I just need a buck or two. I'm having a baby and I'm proving myself. He's like, yeah. I was able to keep you here for that long. So I went to lunch and I sat in that car eating my whatever I was eating that day and said, you know what? No. And I just never went back. I didn't talk to anybody. I didn't tell anybody. And I've never really just done that to a job, to my knowledge. I can remember. I don't think I've ever just walked out on a job. But I went to lunch and never came back. And then he fucking called me. He called me and he's like, dude, did I do anything? I mean, he was more worried about that he pissed me off. I mean, you know what I'm saying. That he pissed me off or something. I'm like, no, I totally get it, dude. You went to bat for me. And I'm sorry I had to do that. I said, but you got to understand that this job is not just a job to me. It's here. You know? It's fucking here. And I've proven myself. And I'm not asking for much. I mean, you guys sell these things for $3,000. And this is in late 90s money. And I pump out so many of them for you by my cocksucking self. And he just says, just fucking send them out the door right now, just because he asked. So I said, you know what, Ken Parker can smoke my ass. He goes, all right, well, they'll have your last check printed here in another day or so. Come and get it. And oh boy, did I go get it. I looked right up at fucking 18,000 foot tall Ken Parker, and I let him have it. I'm just like, you know what, you're a fucking big for nothing piece of shit. You get this whole thing going on here. You got fucking people here that don't give two fucks stealing from you. They're stealing from you. People are literally putting guitars in the dumpsters and coming back at night and getting them. I've had plenty of time where I'm the only one in the shop and I could walk out with one. They didn't keep very good records. You scribble down a what do you call it? A serial number and then the date and time. And that wasn't even so much for records of their. It was so they could come over and go, okay, this guy's working. We don't have to fire him today. You know what I mean? It was literally that kind of fucking place. My very first supervisor said we had to do a good job in case aliens showed up. My first supervisor. He was the guy over at the pick guards for the night flies. Because when the aliens show up, they'll see we're good workers and not turn us into food or pet. It was a very strange environment. But it crushed one of my very first dreams. And I never truly pursued it after that. I wanted to go to a couple of schools, but everyone comes say, no, it's not worth your time to do it. And I listened to people growing up. And all the opportunities I wanted to take, I chose not to because it wasn't realistic in the moment, you know. I had a kid. I had a couple of kids. So it was unrealistic to just stop everything and go down to Georgia for a school for a year and a half and then come back, you know. I should the fuck have because that school down there got people into Gibson, PRS, Jackson, Fender, everybody, Guild, Heritage. I could be in I could be in Nashville right now making guitars. I could be in Corona, no, fuck California. No offense to anyone who lives there, but you guys need to get some better leadership out there. And I'm not talking about left or right. I'm just talking about better leadership, period. I don't care what they fucking claim to be. And the thing that sucks is there's a lot of Californians that just think it's whatever. I don't care. And I think they're more champion their party than they are situations. And I hate that. That's why I'll never truly identify with Republican or Democrat. I used to consider myself a moderate. One person even said that. I might have even been a, what's the fucking word for it? That other party there. I don't know. They don't believe in money and all that shit. But you get what I'm saying. You get what I'm saying. Parker Guitars, man. Rest in peace, Parker. You're a good dude. I hated you. Oh, and I also made fun of him because he let me use, there was this Marshall cabinet that was just sitting in the shop in a box, never opened. And it was a 1960A. Not meaning it came from 1960. It was the model. 1968 vintage, which was a really expensive with really nice greenbacks in it. For those of you who like tech talk, the speakers. And I said, hey, how much do you want for that? And he was like, take it with you, see if you like it, and then we'll come up with a number. It was literally just given to us. It was just given to us. Because the same company that distributed Parker overseas distributes Marshall here. So he had a relationship with them, and they would give him stuff once in a while, and that was just sitting in the fucking shop. And it worked really well. I had a PV Ultra 120 with the 3 channels and the light up logo. Fantastic amp. For the money. I think I paid $700 new for it. That fucking thing could do everything. It has 6L6 tubes, but if you biased it over the EL34s, you could still get the metal, but you could also get that really cool old school plexi sound. It was pretty cool stuff. And I was like, all right, how much do you want for it? He's like, I don't know, give me $500. So I gave him $50 as a deposit, and then about 3-4 weeks later, all that happened. And I said to him, that cabinet's never coming back. And he's like, oh, you fucking better bring it back. I'm like, What are you going to do? Whatever. It is what it is. Let's go to the chat here. I'm sick as well. We already did all that. Australian guitar player who plays PRS. I have no idea. Or are you talking about when I was talking about like Reeves and all that stuff? Is he Australian? I don't know. The Creep Nike shoes made out of leather. Face of his victims. Nah, I'm good. I often thought, could I be a serial killer? Probably. Absolutely. But do I really want to interact with people even on that level? No. No, people have proven to me multiple times in face that they are unreliable, disgusting creatures. That doesn't mean that everybody's a scumbag. I'm sure there are as many good people out there as there are bad. But unfortunately, the world, in a face-to-face situation, keeps bringing me the dickheads. So maybe I keep going to them. Here's a different story. I get dickheads, but I also get a lot of rad people. And I think that's why I translate to this better than being in person. We talked yesterday about going to that once-a-month meetup. There's a local retro group. Very niche retro group that they meet up in the library and they bring stuff. Uncommon stuff and all that. We joked about me bringing... I'm not bringing that to conventions and stuff. I know people are going to be like, oh, no. It's going to stay right fucking here. I'm not going to risk it going anywhere. For the sake of respect, really. I mean, would it really break my heart if it wasn't here? For about a day or two, but after a while, it'll just become another thing that's not here anymore, like my amp. I'm mad that I don't have my tube amp anymore, but I chose to sell it because I needed the money. Is it really bothering me? No. It's just a fucking thing. It's just a fucking thing. Who cares? You're cool, Grandpa. Right on, man. I'm going to go from the Undertaker to fucking Grandpa. Sorry to hear that. Parker Flies, I thought were rad. They really were. I had an employee guitar. Okay, so after you were there, I think a year or 6 months, I can't remember, you were able to commission an employee guitar. But the husk of it had to come from their seconds pile. Structurally, they were all fine. You know, there was just something about it. So I found this nice root beer one. I loved that root beer finish that they had. It was a metallic. It was just the right amount of flake, right amount of orange. And you know what? Every time I would look at it, it would make me taste those root beer hard candies that are shaped like barrels, if any of you remember those. I would look at it and taste that in my mind's taste buds, I guess. And, you know, maybe I should just do over on my other channel, who I talk about guitars a lot, just a Parker live stream. I got enough to talk about with that, but it was going through. And Ken, he came up to me, and this is before all of the stuff we just talked about. He's like, hey, Chris, we're going to be stopping the employee fucking purchase program. It's just not beneficial to send guitars that aren't making money through the line. And I'm like, I'm going to be doing most of the work. I'll do it on my lunch. No. And then everyone was just like, yeah, dude, that guy must have something out for you. I don't know. I don't know if he just saw how talented I was and was like, he's going to take over the company. Nah, I'm just kidding. But he did do that. I mean, it was just like this little degree of disrespect throughout the... But I will admit, the fretboards on Parkers are almost paper thin, okay? They're wicked fucking thin. But I walked over to the guy who has to put the frets on. He also glues the fretboard down for some models. I said, do me a favor. When this guitar shows up to your station, before you fret it, I want another fretboard glued to that. I want it just slightly thicker. I want my guitar to be a little bit different, but I also like bigger fret necks, you know, because I got these big fucking sausage fingers that your mom loves so much. And he did. And it got through the next couple stages, and then Ken just came over, grabbed it, walked it over to me, and then they put it together and sold it. I think, if I remember correctly, that one had a chip out where they were routing for the tremolo cavity in the back, the thing here that I was showing you with the springs. And they just decided to fix the chip and just respray the back. I don't know. I don't know. It was a shitty experience that fucking literally made me make the decision. I had to make that decision to never chase it ever again. And it's all I ever wanted to do. All I ever wanted. I remember, this is fucked up about my parents' generation. I know there were a lot of parents that were very supportive. But, like, I would go with my dad to a Bible study at his friend Joe's house. And his son was a guitar player. And he was the one who used to teach me once in a while and got me into Kramer. He had a nice Kramer. He had a really nice Pacer and a couple of things. And I remember saying that I want to build guitars for a living in front of the dude's father, my dad's friend. And he right away came right out with, oh, man, there's so much work that goes into that. And I don't know if you really want to... And you're a little kid. You're impressionable. So you believe it. This fucking sucks. Oh, well, what can you do? Can never afford one, but sorry they treated you so bad. Yeah, dude, they were so expensive, but... They were interesting guitars. Would I use it often? Probably not. Maybe. I don't know. But I would like to eventually have a Night Fly. One of the original Night Flies. They went through a few different iterations. And I think they call it the Rev 4 or something like that. Before they put this little button in the pickguard, their control scheme was like in a pyramid with a switch over here and a switch in between two knobs. And the reason it had all that is because you had both magnetic pickups, and then in the bridge you had a Fishman transducer. Basically, it's an acoustic emulator. It takes your electric guitar and it translates the sound into like acoustic guitar sounds using digital magic wizardry. I don't know French, so it's hard to say wizardry. So you needed all that junk for that, but they added this button in the middle, and I don't remember what it was. I don't remember if it was a coil split for the... It must have been, because we only did it for the HSS models. Humbucker, single coil. Just like this. You had a big one of these and two little ones of these. And this can be split so you can only hear this one or this one. It's basically two of these wired and opposite to buck the hum that these give you. You put these on a distorted amp, it's going to go... It sounds like poo-poo. So they did that. Reverse the 60 cycle hum by taking two of them and doing that to them. Good times. But I wonder if it was a coil split. I don't remember it, but I just remember we had to drill. We pulled a bunch of guitars that were finished and ready to rock and roll. Like we took the plastic off of them and everything, like the sheet and everything that's on it. Put these holes. I don't want that one. I don't want that one at all. Anarchist. I live in NorCal for a bit, about a year after the Marines. Right on. I got no problem with people from California. I can say this, though. The majority of the Californians I hung out with or I worked with in Arizona, I had a completely different life view. I can tell you that. But I always chalk that up to East Coast, West Coast cultures. You know, what we do out here and what they do over here is completely different. Well, for you, it would be the opposite. It's completely different, and I can understand that and respect that. But I just think California needs better leadership, regardless of what party they follow. I think they just need straightforward, forget the nuances for right now. Let's get things back to where it belongs. The LA streets, ever since I was a kid, were dangerous. And what's fucked up is they would come up with these government programs, and I can't remember the name of the program that they came up with, but I believe the movie Colors kind of used that as a springboard. They called theirs Crash. Something gang, something, you know. But LA did that. California did that. And the Crips and the Bloods got together. And they like literally physically got together. It was all on TV. Shook hands and were like, okay, this is a ceasefire because the government's finally coming in here to help us out. To figure all this fucking stupid territorial bullshit out. Maybe some of us can stop selling crack and having our sisters out there peddling ass. And I mean no disrespect. This is literally what was going on at the time. There was no opportunities for anybody. So then this big government agency came in. I forget what they were called. They had tons of vehicles and tons of this and tons of that. And they put millions and millions into it. And then one day just literally walked out. They just stopped. They just locked the doors and left everything behind. And then the poor folks of Los Angeles were like, what the fuck? Really? So tell me they're not going to trust, you know? You seen your friends and your relatives dying by fucking record numbers. Little kids have been to more fucking funerals than I probably have been to birthday parties. And it's sad. It's fucking sad. I have no respect for gang life. I have zero respect for that. Except for the community aspect of it. You know, I grew up on the East Coast, a community aspect. Your neighbor was allowed to correct you. And your father thanked them for it. They weren't allowed to put their hands on you unless it was necessary. But they were allowed to come out and be like, shut the fuck up! Fucking 2 a.m. And my dad would be like, it was 2 a.m. The dude's got to work in the morning, you know? Or whatever the case may be. But, yeah, South Central. Yep. Yeah, it's too bad. California, I mean, fucking, I don't even know how Arnie was any good. But California has so much going for it. And its leadership always fucking falls short on you folks. My leadership here in Mass is falling short on us. You know, I mean, I'm not a Boston resident, but Mayor fucking Pooh. God damn. God damn. My governor's garbage. Shuts down 2 pipelines that could give us fucking energy over here and then complains about energy prices. Seriously, that's the type of shit that I'm dealing with here in the Boston area. But it is what it is. You know, believe what you want to believe. Follow what you want to follow. And just don't fucking hurt anyone unnecessarily so. A pair of Nike shoes made out of your face. Okay, we already did that. I live in Cali. Remember when it was cool to live here. See, I know you do. I know, and I have a lot of friends that live in California. The Intelligent Gamer, I believe, is a CA cat. Which is funny because people used to think that was short for Cali. And it's my last name. It's my last name. Call. Telephone. We used to be Callahans, and for some reason it got cut in half or something like that. Sloppy second pile. Yeah, well, I wouldn't call it that. There were some really nice looking instruments there. Athena is the female guitar player from Australia. Okay. Dude, Paul Reed Smith makes beautiful heirloom style instruments. And as much as I drool over them, every one I've played has had no soul. Think of that rich, uptight, snobby guy. And that's, to me, what a PRS is. I've never been able to connect with one. And I've tried many because I want one. I think they are incredibly gorgeous instruments. They're made from the right materials. They're made with the right heart. I don't know. Yeah, dude, saw it on a documentary. Yeah. The governor left a ton of rock candy. Oh, okay, yeah, that's right. And you know what? If anyone says that it wasn't really the government making deals to get fucking rock in the country, is out of their fucking minds. I am a big fan. I will say this. I'm a big fan of Ronald Reagan. I think his economics were garbage. I think all of his anti-drug stuff was, I should say his wife's was pure at heart. But I also believe that he's partially part of the reason why a lot of this went down the way it did. Crack. I mean, there were entire buildings taken over. People couldn't even live in them anymore, like apartment buildings. By manufacturing and selling, just like New Jack City. Is that the name of the movie? New Jack City with Snipes and it was Tupac in it? I don't know. I don't know who's in them. I remember seeing it back then going, yeah, cool. And then moving on. Take away the big bucks and the payouts, and maybe we can get some leadership. That's the thing. Public servants shouldn't be getting rich. There's not one politician in this country that should be getting rich. Period. And they should only be able to serve, I'm talking Congress and stuff now, 2 terms, best. Because think about it. Some fuck that's in Congress since 1985 does not have the same ideals, I suppose. It doesn't have the experiences that would translate to someone in 2025. So you do need the younger people, the AOCs of the world. I think she's garbage, but I'm using her as an age reference, as a demographic reference. You know, when I see someone in Congress that's in their fucking 80s and have been there for most of their life, I think to myself, no, this is fucking bullshit. That dude knew what was going on back 20, 30, 40 years ago. What the fuck do they know about today? And I see all these fucking people, the Nancy Pelosi's. First of all, that fucking lady, I swear to God. Anyone who would vote for her to fucking mop a floor needs to have their fucking head examined. That woman's... You shouldn't get rich while serving the public. And I don't think anyone in Congress should be able to do fucking trades and stocks until they're out. And even then, it's probably sketchy. Because they have information that the public doesn't. It's that simple. It's that simple. They're building a fusion reaction. Really? That sounds fun. I know a dude who has PRS. He let me play it. It sounds very metal. Did it have EMGs in it? Did it have EMGs in it? Because once you start talking about active pickups, excuse me, the only reason I'm still on now is because this talking is actually helping my throat, believe it or not. But once you start putting active pickups in them, that negates anything that surround. These are the pickups anyway, by the way, for anyone. Basically, look at them like microphones for the guitar. The string vibrates, creates a magnetic thing underneath the magnetic poles and the doohickeys and the thingamahobbies, and it picks it up, translates it to sound, and sends it out the cord into my amp and into your ears, and your girl comes home with me. That's how it works, man. That's how it works. I thought New Jack City was based on some real events. You know what? Honestly, New Jack City seems like one of those movies that were based on events from multiple sources. I'm pretty sure there were more than enough of those fucking drug buildings, apartment buildings, to relate stories from. And I'm sure news articles were involved in it too, with a little bit of propaganda, you know. But, yeah, I don't know. Move E, M-O-V-E, what is that? I had a coffee cup that said, Fire Pelosi. Maybe DiMaggio's. I like DiMaggio's. I do too. When we were talking earlier about Andy LaRocque, Super Distortions. Recent, Ace Frehley. If you look at his 3 pickup Sunburst, those 3 cream pickups are Super Distortions by DiMaggio. Going back to Ken Parker. You know, I'm gonna unplug this guitar because we are going to stop streaming, but I want to get another guitar to show you something real quick. But with the DiMaggios, Parker Guitar used them exclusively for a while, and the pickup that was in the Nightfly, the humbucker, was a blend between the Tone Zone. I always forget to turn my amp off. The Tone Zone and the Super Distortion, and it had the hex screws like a Super Distortion. I had one of those pickups for the longest time. I used to have this Charvel CX290 that I sold shortly out. Actually, I might even have a picture of it still on my phone. The last day I owned it. But again, it was time to move on from that one. It was absolutely time. Out with the old, in with the new, you know. But I had that pickup in it, and I left it in it, and I wish I hadn't. What a wonderful fucking pickup that was. But I had that pickup from the 90s all the way till I moved here. I think I sold the guitar like 5 or 6 years ago. Here we go. I think it's in this folder. In my old phone folder. In fact, I know it is. It's got to be in here somewhere. Yep. Again, I know you're not going to be able to see it very well. But that has a Parker Nightfly humbucker in it, or did when I sold it. And these knobs are from the Nightfly. This is your main volume, and then there would be 2 of these little guys like right here, and a switch in between them, and then you would still have your pickup selector switch. And the switch in between here, what it did was, if you pushed it this way, it would be these kind of electronics. If you pushed it all the way this way, it would be the piezo transducers in here. And if you put it in the middle, of course, it would blend the two. Just like a normal pickup combination. But I still have my Nightfly. So when I say that the Parker guitar was a very strong influence on me as a guitar player and builder, I mean it. I fucking mean it. But it's like, it's a bittersweet thing. I got what I wanted, but what I wanted treated me like shit. And I moved on from it. So, oh, you like this? This is you can find these for $40 all day long. It's made by First Act. And what I do is I put a really nice, hot, overwound Texas 50 style tele pickup, and I have it in what they call an Esquire setup. Whereas what they did, so how do I explain this? In the early days of electric guitar, they didn't really know what the fuck was going on. But they do know that jazz people like that real low, muted tone. But they just put the one little thing here, right? Fender, it was called the Esquire before it was called the Telecaster. But they still had this weird three switch thing for one pickup. Normally this would switch between the electronics. In this guitar, there's one. One thing. One. In, out, done. I'm going home. And there's three selections here. So what would happen was in the middle, it would be a guitar with just one pickup. You'd be able to use this and this. This is your volume, and this is like a tone knob. There's a capacitor on here that depending on what you want, can either get you more of a honky sound or take all the highs out of it or do something like that, right? But it introduces a tone to your pickup. Most people just keep it all on. One single pickup done in 50 style, which this is. These two knobs just kind of tweaked. You can find all kinds of magic in it. It's unbelievable. But if you take the switch and bring it all the way forward, it eliminates all of this. Or at least in theory. Mine still has the volume. I'm going to have to fix that. But what it does is it takes the pickup and puts it right here to the cord to go right into the amp. And there's nothing between. Nothing between. And that's when you just want to punch the dude right in the mouth. Bow! That's what that's for. You're on stage, you're like, shock me! Make me feel better. Right? While you're playing that, the chicks are in the front row throwing their undergarments at you, and you hit that A chord and puts them right on the ground. And they're yours. Just kidding. I'm not a caveman. But if you push it all the way forward, what it does is it introduces another, I believe there are two capacitors, orange drop capacitors attached to it. And normally what it would do is just darken the sound to emulate a pickup here. Well, they just designed one to go in there, but they didn't. But what I'm using is this thing called the Eldred mod, where they take whatever they used, they called it the dark circuit. It's ugly. Ugly. And you put a couple orange drop caps in it, and you get this cocked wah sound. Wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful tone. So that's how this is set up. This is kind of, I'm prototyping a guitar I want to build for myself. And I have grand illusions of making 10 of them to sell. But again, going back to what we were talking about earlier with the art and, every time people say, yeah, I'll buy that, somebody's or another. And I'm not trying to be, try to create any guilt, but these right here. The only reason I made 20 of them was because a lot of people saw I was using them was like, yeah, I'm into that. So I made them for people. And, nobody really, only a couple of people picked them up. And so far I'm hearing a lot of good stuff. I've sent enough out. As a matter of fact, I got to get back to Richard Hayward, because he saw them in a video the other day and was like, oh, I didn't know these were out. I'm like, dude, I sent you a couple. Did you not receive them? Because I made more than 20. But I only put 20 up for sale, and I keep pulling from that to give to people. But now that this new Plus, maybe that'll be my thing. I'll be the thumb buddy guy. The mold's ready to melt. I might melt the molds, but I'm going to call it there, guys. Nice guitar creep. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. I'm not into the active. I like high ohms pickups. I like active in certain. I mean, of course, I grew up during the EMG 81 days. I threw an EMG 81 in my USA Beretta, in high school. And that thing was a fucking monster. But I don't think EMGs are made the same way now anyway. They just don't have what they used to have. You know? They all sound dull and dead now to me. I don't know, maybe it's because of a mature ear. I play with tube amps now, and I play with overdrives and not distortions. Maybe it's that. Maybe I'm just not all balls to the wall metal anymore. But yeah, today took an interesting turn. I'm sorry I didn't really do anything of substance. I fucking feel like garbage. In fact, probably gonna get some meat and go right back to fucking bed. And yeah, guys, thanks for hanging out with me. I'm glad I actually got up to do this. I wasn't gonna. I did. I got up, I made a cup of coffee, sat down and got this set up. And now I'm going to reverse that. I'm going to drink the coffee and I'm going to go back to bed and hopefully not shit my pants. I'm just kidding. So guys, wherever in the world you are, I hope you're I hope you're doing well. I got a video out right now that's members only until Friday at midnight. It's basically all the clips talking about would I sell my Amico from yesterday's stream. I thought that was such a great conversation about the console that I would break my rule of not talking about it. And just to reiterate, the reason I don't talk about it is because I don't like repeating the same stupid shit. If I'm talking about a game like here and then here and then here, that's fine. But when it's under an antagonistic guise, I'm not going to answer the same stupid questions over and over again. And I'm not going to answer them to the dickheads that are asking and how they're asking, like they're entitled to the information. If anyone thinks that they're entitled to any of the information about that thing from me, they can stick that idea up their mother's ass. Guys, I want you all to have a wonderful evening, but it was such a great conversation. Everybody was respectful, and it brought forth new ideas to talk about for me. And that's why we went with it. And as a result, I praised you guys. Rewarded you. But I thought it was a very interesting topic that, because of current events, I might as well just get out there. So guys, thank you always so much for watching.